Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video we're going to be talking about Hugin, should you pull or pass, given the fact that we now know what his charm situation is going to be like in the new season. It really honestly changes everything. Hugin has received a really powerful charm quality bonus, which I'm going to be talking about in today's video, which makes it maybe even somewhat of a thing to consider if you want to pull him or not. Now, I don't think you need to pull him. I don't think, for example, maybe even the top teams out there will be necessarily using Hugin, but I think he is going to be a cool tool to be running in the Dream Realm. Okay, so taking a look at Hugin, you have his charms. He's going to have the same mythic charms as before, and most likely either probably Mystic Charms are going to be the best if you're running him with the stationary damage you'll have behind him. Otherwise, Blast Charms will be the way to go. Now, the skill power and ultimate power has been nerfed in this season compared to Waves of Intrigue, from 5 down to 4. Not a massive nerf, but it is one nonetheless. But the quality bonus is really the interesting thing. When a battle starts, grants the ally plays one tile behind the caster the ability to convert 40% of their damage dealt into true damage, and increases their attack by 10% for the rest of the battle. This is one of the key charms which is probably going to see a lot of use in Dream Realm, and there are 4 heroes who have this charm effect right now, which are Niru, Almas, which are not good options for Dream Realm, and then Rainier, who is one of the great options for Dream Realm. So that is kind of the thing. Like, if you have maybe Rainier already at Mythic Plus, then I mean you would probably want to be running Rainier and then having just using his charm quality bonus to give your hero that boosted effect of converting into true damage. However, if you don't have Rainier at Mythic Plus, for example, then you could use Hugin as an alternative. So that is basically the thing to consider right now. If you have Rainier at Mythic Plus, probably don't need him. I still think there could be some niche uses where Hugin could be even potentially better than Rainier, because Hugin with his mechanized bond, if there's a stationary damage deal behind him, will keep providing them attack buff for the whole fight, and then he can shield and protect your team, and he can provide attack buff from casting his ultimate. But yeah, that is basically, in my opinion, if you have Rainier at Mythic Plus, maybe you can pass on Hugin, but even then, you can still consider even recruiting on him because of this really great quality bonus charm that he has. Because the idea I have, and this could be even useful for early game players or free-to-play players who maybe have not been able to invest into Rainier, they can get a Hugin, they can get an OD, put the OD behind the Hugin, and convert a portion of his damage into true damage, and that is a lot, right? 40% of OD's damage being hit as true damage. It is gonna kill bosses effectively, and even in Endless it could have some use. I don't think it's going to be the overall top team, and like the thing is, like, if you have heroes like Harak, you have Rainier, you're probably going to be building a team based around them rather than Hugin. However, I think as like a budget option, Hugin and Odie, it could be a good combo, especially with this quality bonus, but mainly because of this quality bonus. Now, the thing to keep in mind, you're going to need his charms, but the thing, even when you get him to elite charms, is already going to begin converting damage into true damage. It's really only the attack buff to get that to 10% that you'll want to get in mythic. So he is going to come online even when you get elite charms for him, which will be really early on in the game. So yeah, I definitely think that Hugin is going to see more use in the upcoming season than definitely he saw in this season. In the current season, he didn't really see any use. Even in Ravaged Realm, he actually wasn't used. So like for the long run, maybe in future seasons where he doesn't have a great quality bonus, then maybe it isn't a good long-term investment. But this is just something really interesting, and it will make Hugin relatively like kind of relevant in this upcoming season. But apart from that, so we have 2.5 days left. The other thing is, like, for example, if you have a lot of Lightbearer heroes on the wish list, there are a bunch of Lightbearer A-level heroes, and look, there's still only 4 of the Graveborns, but they're changing that. Bonnie is coming, or Bonnie is going to be coming to the recruitment wish list soon, and Valka we've already seen revealed for the new season, who probably, I think, is an A-level Graveborn. But anyway, there are a bunch of Lightbearers competing for this slot, right? And like now we have Mariel and Walker both getting the upgraded skill Supreme Plus ability. You might want to keep them on your wish list. It might be difficult for you to eventually even build Hugin. And so going for Hugin, for example, might not be the worst thing in the world. But at the same time, like if you have your swap ticket for the Waves of Intrigue season, and maybe you have Sinbad built and you've built up Bonnie, you can always maybe replace Sinbad for Hugin later on in the season if you find that Hugin is really doing really well or being used in a lot of teams. So you don't have to go for him right now. But these are just some factors you have to consider. The fact that there are a bunch of A-level library heroes. There's honestly too many in comparison to the other factions. And also his quality bonus is just going to be great for this upcoming season. So these are reasons that maybe you want to recruit for him. Now, when you recruit for him, how far do you have to go? That is the question. And the thing is, if you want his full value, you want to get him to Supreme Plus because you want all the stats from Ascension. You want to get him to plus 10 exclusive recruitment for more stats because his Mechanized Bond is going to provide an attack buff based on a percentage of his own attack, not the ally's attack. And if you want to max out the potential of that, you'll want him to be as ascended as possible for the Ascension stats. In terms of the ability, the Supreme Plus effect, this is good after he begins shielding your team. But for boss content, usually how it works is that your team isn't really at a major risk of dying, and so like the shield might not help. However, in the early stages and pre-endless bosses, you use Coco for like the shielding to protect your team. You could use Hugin maybe in place of that to protect your team. So I think in the pre-endless, this shielding effect is going to be pretty important. Basically, have the damage reduction, and so Supreme Plus will also be good from that angle as well. So, yeah, that is basically my thoughts. If you're going to go for Hugin, I think you should take him to Supreme Plus. You don't have to go for him, like we've mentioned here. There is no need to go for him. And if you have Rainier at Mythic Plus, he just might not even be better than Rainier, and you might be using Rainier in all of the teams rather than Hugin. However, I think there's going to be some team comps which are going to use him, or maybe some budget comps if you don't have Rainier at Mythic Plus. And everyone is also always looking for a way to get around not having to use Rainier. Basically, if they can avoid recruiting and pulling for Rainier and just focus right on Fresto and then Harak after that, then it makes a lot of people's like lives easier. And I think Hugin might be one of the ways to do that. But another thing to keep in mind is you can use Hugin even before, if he's at a lower level of Ascension. Like maybe if you only have him at Legendary Plus, that's considered somewhat of a stat like breakpoint, and he'll get his hero focus. Maybe you could use him there and just use him for the quality bonus, and hopefully he can survive for long enough and get shield value off. And he would still provide some attack buff value from his Mechanized Bond. So maybe you don't even need to get him all the way to Supreme Plus, and even just recruiting for a few hits on the banner would be enough as well. So that is the other thing. I don't know necessarily if you need to take him to Supreme Plus or not. But yeah. Okay, apart from this, other game modes where he's going to shine, battle drills where you need shielders for the specific boss fights, he's going to do well. But like we've seen in Ravaged Realm, he's not even used in Ravaged Realm, and that is usually a bad sign for a hero. If a hero is not even really able to fit into a good team comp for Ravaged Realm, then they really have to have some other redeeming factor, because like in Ravaged Realm, you're limited on heroes, and if he's still not fitting in, then what is he actually good for? And he wasn't used in any Dream Realm team. He wasn't used in PvP. I like using him in front of Odie for Supreme Arena with the Valish as well to protect him. And I think comps like that could be also like viable or runnable in the future season. So that is still something. Like I don't think he's bad. Like especially to buff up Odie. I think he's pretty good buffing up Odie. I think Odie is one of his best friends to be buffed up by Mechanized Bond. But apart from that, he's not really too important. Regular arena, not really important. AFK stages, not really important. He was just used because Tassi was so dominant, and he's a light bearer, so he can give Tassi a bit more value. But that was basically it. And in this season, we don't have that crazy double ultimate casting and actually triple ultimate casting with Tassi light bearer tiles. So that is the other problem, kind of limiting his potential. Okay, and we do still have 2.5 days left for the banner. Like it says 21 hours left here because we're on the Vietnam server, but for global it is 2.5 days left. So you have time to decide if you want, but these are just the things to consider and keep in mind going into the new season. But if I have to give my overall impressions, should you pass or pull him, I think for free-to-play players, if you don't have Rainier at Mythic Plus, I would be seriously considering maybe going for him, but even then I would try to get by with him just at like Legendary Plus and like maybe keeping him on your wish list as soon as he comes onto the wish list. If you're like a mid-spender player, I would consider getting him to Supreme Plus. I think he can be a cool tool to have on your account, but again, not really necessary. He's not like in the must-pull status. This is just kind of an interesting thing. about his use and the fact that he does have a good charm. So yeah, and the fact that like there's just so many light bearer A-level heroes, it will be a while before you can even build him up, unless for example you're just gonna pass on the others and make him a priority, which you could as well, because if you consider him to be good, then you would just make him a priority, but then it would delay your other progress of A-level heroes. But yeah, I mean, if you've gone for, if in my opinion you've already gone for Bonnie, for example, or if you've gone for Sinbad, or you have these heroes at Supreme Plus already, and like if you have even 2 A-level heroes from Waves of Intrigue season at Supreme Plus, and you have your swap ticket available, then I probably wouldn't go for Hugin, because if you see that there's a lot of use of Hugin in the season, then you can just swap one of them into Hugin at that point in time. So that is the other thing. But if you don't have a swap ticket available, or if you don't have an A-level hero from Waves of Intrigue season at Supreme Plus, then it would be a consideration just to keep in mind, because that's the other thing. Because even if you recruit from the Supreme Plus, you could swap him to another hero if you don't have any other one of the heroes at Supreme Plus yet. So but yeah, these are my thoughts about Hugin. You guys can share your own opinions in the comment section down below. But really, my only real use I've had for him, I only have him on the higher spender account. I don't have him on my main account because I didn't consider him a must pull. And even for my main account, I probably won't be recruiting for him. I honestly probably am not even recruiting for Bonnie, because if need be, I'll just swap Sinbad to Bonnie later on. And also, like, she's an A-level Graveborn. I need an A-level Graveborn for my wish list, because, like, otherwise I keep Paragoning the Salazar and Nero, which is really a waste. Well, actually, no, I think I still have Sylvina and stuff on there. But anyway, I don't need that. So that is basically it. But yeah, you guys feel free to share your opinions on Hugin, whether you should pass or pull him, in the comment section down below. I do, overall, if you want my opinion, I think it is still a pass, but this thing has it has tipped the scales a bit because of the fact that he does have a really good charm quality bonus, but I don't, honestly speaking, I think it probably won't be enough in order to make him, like, actually really, or important, even not even really important, just even important in general to have on your account. But you never know, and his rate of recruitment is about to end, so it's just something to keep in mind. But don't feel any pressure to recruit for him. On my main account, I'm not going to be recruiting for him, but I might be swap. If he's really good, then I will swap to him. Basically, it'll be between Sinbad and him. I'm also planning not, by the way, right now I'm planning not to recruit for Bonnie, but maybe I'll change my mind, and we'll make another video about Bonnie in general, about pull or pass later on. But thanks for watching, guys. That's gonna be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now, and thank you for watching.